Stop playing the game of wealth by rules that aren't designed for you to win. You've been sold a lie about how to get rich. The story goes that if you just work hard, save your money, and play by the rules, you'll be fine. But let's be honest, that path often just leads to a permanent spot in the middle class. It's a moral lullaby sung to the masses to keep them obedient, predictable, and working for someone else's dream. You're told to be a good person, wait your turn, and believe in fairness. But the 16th century strategist Niccolò Machiavelli would call that a dangerous fantasy, a trap set by the powerful to keep you compliant. The truth is financial chaos, market crashes, soaring inflation, sudden job losses, isn't something to fear. It's a natural force. For most people, it's a wild, untamed river that sweeps them away. But for the wealthy, it's a force they've learned to conquer. The world's most successful people don't get rich by accident or by simply working harder. They get rich because they understand wealth isn't about morality, it's about power. They use a 500-year-old principle to turn chaos into opportunity, and it's called virtù. It's a mindset, and it's the only one that will make you truly rich. You've been sold a broken promise. The one that says if you keep your head down, get a good education, land a stable job, and feed your 401k, you'll eventually reach financial freedom. But look around. Is that promise really being kept? You see people who did everything right, who played by all the rules, get wiped out by a single market correction. You see their savings, built over decades of sacrifice, get eaten by inflation in a few short years. You see their stable careers vanish overnight, replaced by an algorithm or outsourced to a cheaper market. Here's the secret. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended. It encourages a class of laborers who are dependent on institutions they don't control, living in a state of quiet desperation. It works because you believe your financial destiny is in someone else's hands, the market, luck, or your boss. Machiavelli saw this same pattern 5 centuries ago, not in economies, but in kingdoms. He saw that most people are passive subjects of fate, while a select few rise to become its masters. The difference wasn't their goodness or their work ethic. It was their mindset. They understood the brutal mechanics of power, and that's what we're here to understand today. So forget what you've been taught. It's time to learn the real rules. The biggest lie ever told is that wealth is a positive-sum game where everyone can win just by being nice. The financial world isn't a community choir. It's a gladiatorial arena. And in that arena, you're either a spectator, a gladiator, or the emperor who owns the whole show. The rules you've been taught, save 10% of your income, diversify, avoid debt, are the rules for the gladiators. They're designed to keep you in the fight, skilled enough to put on a good show, but never powerful enough to challenge the emperor. Think about the psychology here. You're encouraged to outsource your financial thinking. Trust your future to a fund manager you'll never meet. Depend on a single employer for your livelihood. Believe the government will protect your money's value. In every case, you're placing your fate in someone else's hands. Machiavelli would call this what it is, dependence. And dependence is the root of all powerlessness. A person who depends on others can't be free. They're a well-fed servant who might enjoy some comforts, but has no real control over their life. This is the us versus them framework that really runs the world of money. The architects of a system, want the masses to think of money in terms of morality. They praise the honest worker and the prudent saver. Why? Because a population of honest, hardworking savers who fear risk is the perfect workforce. They're predictable, they're compliant, and they'll work for 40 years without ever questioning the game itself. They are hamsters on a wheel, running faster and faster to power a system they will never own. The Machiavellian mindset asks you to do something radical, separate the idea of wealth from conventional morality. This isn't a call to be evil. It's a call to be effective. Machiavelli's great insight was that the rules of power are different from the rules of personal ethics. A leader who tries to be good all the time will be destroyed by the many who are not. The same is true for your money. A person who tries to build wealth by being fair in a system that a power game will be devoured by those who understand strategy. While Machiavelli wrote about political power, the metaphor for personal finance is undeniable. The world of money is a battlefield with its own logic and its own weapons. Victory isn't being liked. Victory is financial sovereignty. It's the power to be immune to market crashes and the whims of others. To get there, you have to stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like a strategist. To take control of your financial destiny, you have to understand the two forces that govern it. Machiavelli named them fortuna and virtù. Your entire financial life is a battle between these two. First, Let's talk about fortuna. We translate it as fortune, but that word is too soft. It makes you think of good luck or a lottery ticket. Machiavelli's fortuna is a raging, destructive river. When it swells, it floods the plains, tears down buildings, and destroys everything. Fortuna is chaos. She's the market crash that erases your savings. She's the pandemic that shuts down your business. She's the tech disruption that makes your job obsolete. Fortuna is the brutal reality that much of your life is governed by forces you can't control. The average person's relationship with fortuna is one of prayer and terror. They build a fragile house on the riverbank and just pray the waters never rise. When the flood comes, they're swept away, blaming their bad luck. They are passive victims. Now let's talk about the antidote, the weapon you use to tame this river. Machiavelli called it virtù. And just like fortuna isn't simply fortune, virtù is definitely not virtue. In fact, it's almost the opposite. Conventional virtue asks you to be meek and honest. Virtù is none of those things. It's a strategic cocktail of courage, foresight, skill, and, when necessary, calculated ruthlessness. Virtù isn't the quality of being a good person. It's the quality of being good at what you do. It's the ability to impose your will on your circumstances and to master fortuna instead of being mastered by her. So how does a person of virtù handle the raging river? They don't pray. During the calm days, when the river is gentle and fools are relaxing on the shore, the person of virtù is working. They're studying the river's patterns. They're building dikes, levees, and channels. They prepare for the flood, not by hoping it won't come, but by assuming it's a certainty. And when the storm hits and the river of fortuna rages, the unprepared are washed away. But the person of virtù is safe behind their preparations. Better yet, they've built channels to divert the river's destructive power. They harness that energy to irrigate their own fields. They don't just survive chaos, they profit from it. This is the core of the Machiavellian mindset for wealth. Financial virtù is your financial literacy, the side business you build in the evenings, the network of powerful allies you cultivate. It's the cash you stockpile to buy assets from the terrified masses during a market crash. To embrace this is to accept that luck is a factor, but it's not the deciding one. The person who relies on fortune will always be ruined by it. But the person who cultivates virtù can withstand the worst fortuna has to offer. It's time to stop praying for calm seas and start building a ship that can conquer any storm. The 5 Machiavellian commandments of wealth.to turn this philosophy into action. You follow 5 core commandments. These aren't suggestions. They're iron laws for building wealth that can withstand a chaotic world. Commandment 1. Build your fortress in times of peace. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler should never stand idle in peaceful times, but should use them to build resources for when adversity strikes. The average person works hard when they have to and relaxes when they can. The strategist knows that stable times are the most critical moments for preparation. When a crisis hits, it's already too late. A financial fortress isn't just a pile of cash. That's a granary. A fortress is a dynamic, defensive system. In the 21st century, that means building multiple uncorrelated streams of income. A single paycheck is a wooden shack, one spark away from ruin. A side business, rental properties, dividend stocks. Each one is another tower defending your financial kingdom. If one tower is attacked, you lose your job, the others still stand. It also means having a powerful, strategic network, people who give you information and opportunities the public won't hear about for months. Finally, you stock the armory with high-value skills that can't be easily automated, like negotiation, leadership, and complex problem-solving. While others collect degrees, you must collect capabilities. Commandment 2. Master the art of appearance. Everyone sees what you appear to be, Machiavelli wrote. Few experience what you really are. In the game of wealth, perception is reality. The appearance of strength is a form of strength. This isn't about being fake. It's about strategic communication. You have to control your own narrative. In finance, this means the one who appears less desperate always wins. Think of any negotiation. The person who needs the deal has already lost. The power lies with the one who is willing to walk away. This is the concept of FU money, having enough capital to walk away from a toxic job, a bad partnership, or an insulting offer without fear. But even before you have it, you must cultivate the appearance of it. Weaponize silence. When pressured, be still and let the other person's nervousness reveal their cards. The nouveau riche flaunt logos and flashy cars, signaling that their identity is tied to their stuff. The Machiavellian understands that true wealth isn't what you show, but what you control. Power is quiet. Build a reputation that whispers power so you never have to shout it. Commandment 3. Be both the fox and the lion. Machiavelli argued that a leader must be two animals, the lion and the fox. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. This is a perfect metaphor for financial strategy. The lion is your boldness. It's the courage to act when others are paralyzed by fear. The lion is what lets you invest heavily when there's blood in the streets. It's the guts to start a business with a calculated plan. As Warren Buffett said, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. That greed is the roar of the lion. But the lion alone is a fool. He'll walk straight into a trap. That's why you must also be the fox. The fox is your cunning and skepticism. The financial world is filled with traps, get-rich-quick schemes, complex products with hidden fees, and charismatic gurus selling useless courses. The fox is your inner skeptic. He reads the fine print. He questions everything. He understands that if a deal looks too good to be true, it's a trap. The lion makes the bold investment. The fox does the due diligence. The average person is a sheep, timid when they should be bold and reckless when they should be cautious. You must cultivate this dual nature. Be aggressive, but be paranoid. Commandment 4. Deploy capital as a general deploys an army. The middle-class mindset sees money as something to be hoarded. A growing bank account feels like security. Machiavelli would see this as a strategic catastrophe. Money sitting in a savings account is a sleeping army, losing its strength every day to the silent enemy of inflation. A person with virtù is a general. Your capital, every dollar, is a soldier. Your job is to deploy these soldiers on battlefields, investments, where they can conquer new territory, generate returns, and come back with profits and new recruits, compounded growth. This means you must reject the save your way to wealth idea. You get wealthy by commanding your capital to work for you. A wise general doesn't send his whole army into one battle. He deploys them strategically. Some soldiers go on high-risk, high-reward missions, speculative investments. A larger group secures stable, income-producing territory, dividend stocks, real estate. And another division is held in reserve, ready to deploy when a unique opportunity, like a market crash, appears. This is active command. Your goal isn't to have the largest army sleeping in the barracks. It's to use that army to build an empire. Commandment 5. Eliminate your enemies completely. This is the most ruthless and therefore the most important commandment. Machiavelli's advice was chilling. If you need to injure someone, do it in such a way that you do not have to fear their vengeance. In your quest for financial freedom, you have enemies. They aren't people, but they're just as dangerous. They are the forces that systematically drain your wealth and power. You can't negotiate with them. You must eliminate them. Your first enemy is high-interest debt. Credit card debt and car loans are parasites feasting on your future. The average person manages this debt with minimum payments. This is a minor injury. The debt always comes back for revenge with compound interest. The Machiavellian solution is total war. Live with brutal frugality for a short period. Do whatever it takes to amass a force large enough to annihilate the debt completely. Crush it, so it can never threaten you again. Your second enemy is your own weak will, the impulse to spend, the desire for instant gratification. This is a traitor in your own mind. Cripple its ability to act. Automate your savings and investments. Delete the shopping apps. Unsubscribe from marketing emails. This isn't self-denial. It's strategically disabling an internal enemy. Your third enemy is negative financial influence. The friends and family who mock your discipline and drag you down. They say, "You only live once," or "Why are you being so cheap?" These people are agents of Fortuna. You must be ruthless in protecting your mindset. Your financial future is a fortress, and you can't give the enemy the key to the gate. Adopting this mindset is a transformation. It's the decision to stop being a pawn on the chessboard and become the hand that moves the pieces. It's the shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to the active architect of your own destiny. The world has never been a fair place. It's a chaotic arena. While the masses are tossed about by unpredictable waves, you now have the blueprint to do something different. You have the knowledge to stop being a passenger on a ship sailing into a storm, and instead become the captain who can navigate that storm and reach a destination of your own choosing. Some will call this philosophy cynical or greedy. They're still trapped in the moral fantasy that poverty is somehow noble. But is it greedy to desire freedom? Is it greedy to want to provide unshakable security for your family? Is it cynical to see the world as it really is and arm yourself accordingly? To ignore these rules isn't taking the moral high ground. It's volunteering to be a casualty. You've been shown two paths. The path of the masses, who live at the mercy of the raging river, and the path of the strategist, who sees the river for what it is and spends their life building the skills and discipline to tame it. Fortuna is a raging river. Most will be swept away by it. The only question is, will you build the virtù to tame it, or will you be just another victim of the flood? The choice is yours.